Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Dailey and I'm a young adult science fiction and fantasy author. I'm here today with the Authortube Newbie Tag, which is a tag created by Jenna Streety. She's also created a 2.0 Newbie Tag, but today I'm doing the 1.0. I am more drawn to those questions, so that is what I'm doing today. And I'm just going to go right into it. Number 1. How did you find out about Authortube? I found out, it was about 1 or 2 years ago, that I started really watching kind of Authortube-esque channels that didn't actually consider themselves Authortubers at the time. I think I was introduced through Ellen Brock, who is a novel editor, and I don't think she considers herself an Authortuber. She does like summer boot camps that are full of writing craft advice, and it's full of amazing advice, and you should definitely follow her. I will link her below in the comments too. But it wasn't until I started like looking up just craft advice on YouTube that I kind of got introduced to it, and it just spread out from there. Kim Chance, Jenna Moresi, tons of other Authortubers, and just kind of kept going from there, kept building and growing. And I think it was last December that Megan LaCroix, who is friends with Kim Chance, started her channel for the first time, that I was drawn to creating my own channel. She started a video saying that one of the reasons that she wanted to do it was because she wanted to be able to look back on her journey, all of the things that she's done in a medium like a video, in addition to being able to have something for her kids to look back on, which I thought was pretty cool. But it wasn't just Megan LaCroix that inspired me to start one, but if you guys know the author V.E. Schwab, she's wrote A Darker Shade of Magic, the Monsters of Verity series, Vicious, lots of great books, The Near Witch. She actually has what is a semblance of an Authortube channel where she just talks about writing craft and her books and kind of vlogs her way through things a little bit. And I found it by chance and started watching it. And one of the things that I liked about V.E. Schwab, when she answers questions now, currently, in 2019, she answers them eloquently. Her dictation is beautiful, like she has well-rounded answers, and it's something that I'd love to strive for. So I felt like starting a YouTube channel was a really good way to kind of get used to talking about writing craft and talking about my own books and working on dictation and eloquent answers and stuff like V.E. Schwab did. So that is why I'm doing that. Number 2, what genre do you write in? Well, at the beginning of this channel, you saw that I'm a young adult science fiction and fantasy author, so that is what I write in. I have a middle grade fantasy manuscript that has been shelved for now. And right now I'm working on a young adult science fiction book. I feel confident in saying that I would like to write in both genres. Number 3, what is your preferred writing tense, point of view, and category of story? For writing and reading, I think I tend to be drawn more towards the third person past tense. I definitely write in that category, or in that point of view and that tense. So that's probably my preference. I don't mind reading the other ways, first person and all of those, present tense, but I definitely think that for my writing it's past tense, third person. For the age category, I am currently trying to write in young adult. That is what I'm striving for, but I have written in middle grade, so I have some idea of what's going on there. And I have written short stories that are adult, so I can do a little bit of everything, but young adult is kind of my forte currently. Number 4, are you a plotter, a pantser, or a plantser? So I'm kind of a mix. I plot out things in the sense that I take all of the little notes that I've gathered up, all of my ideas, and I put them in a semblance of an outline, and then I will pants my way through the outline and all the notes that I've created. So it's kind of a combination of the two, and then obviously at the end we tear it all apart and do it all over again, right? During the editing phase. So that is, I'm somewhere in between, but maybe leaning more towards plotter. Number 5, Are you self-published, published, or yet to be published? Well, technically, being self-published is being published. So I think what it's saying is, are you traditionally published? I'm actually self-published. I have a self-published poetry book, so that is technically true that I'm self-published, but my novels haven't been published yet, so I am yet to be published as far as my novels go. Number 6, what publishing company, literary agent, or printing company are you represented by or use? And if you are not yet published, what is your dream publishing house and or literary agent? So as far as my self-publishing goes, I went through a company called CreateSpace, which has since been taken over by Amazon's self-publishing company, which is Kindle Direct Publishing. The takeover was super smooth. CreateSpace was a wonderful platform to create the poetry book on, but Kindle Direct Publishing, KDP, has made the transition really smooth. I've had no issues, so I haven't actually published through them, so I don't know how the whole process is, but I can't imagine that it would be much different, so I think that all went really smoothly. As far as the yet to be published manuscripts that I'm working on, having a dream agent or a dream publishing house is hard to say because it's not that simple. Of course, everyone wants to be represented by the big 5 in publishing, but if you're represented by the big 5, you also run the risk of being a fish, not even a big fish or a small fish, just a fish in a really big pond, and getting ignored and not getting the marketing that you need and all of these other factors that go into being part of the big 5. So I think that what I'm looking for isn't a dream publishing house or a dream agent, but I'm looking for the type of agent and house that would help me build a career with my writing, that would stand behind me and help me at least with some marketing. I know a lot of marketing is done by authors now, but I'm just looking for someone who's willing to stand behind me with that. Number 7, what Authortube related videos can we expect to find on your channel? In my first video, I talked a little bit about kind of what I want to put on the channel. I would say that I do want to talk about writing craft stuff, but it's more than that. And I just want to get used to talking about writing and then my own work and kind of talking about where I'm going in my journey. And also character psychology is a big thing for me. I'm really interested in talking about just what characters are going through and how they interact with each other. So that's something you can definitely expect on this channel. I also have a couple ideas up my sleeve that I'm really excited about that I don't want to announce just yet, so be on the lookout for those. Number 8, when did you first start writing? I have been a storyteller for as long as I can remember, but I didn't start writing until about 12th grade, which I'm not going to tell you how long ago that was, but it was in 12th grade that happened. I had a professor who would make us write journal entries for the first 10 minutes of class every morning, and that's kind of where I started writing stories, and then we had a chance to read them out loud to people, and I got to see how stories made other people feel, and that's kind of when everything changed for me. But early on, I took up the storytelling medium of art. I was an artist for a really long time. I used to like to draw comic style, kind of cartoony art, and tell stories through that. Traditionally, by trade, I went to animation school, so I know how to animate things, and that's kind of where storytelling took me, but now I'm working on my books. So, number 9, what was the first story you ever wrote? So I went on like a scrapbooking kick, and I ended up finding a story that I wrote. It had to be a long time ago. The writing is really poor, so I must have been maybe 7, and it was about it's kind of a creepy story from when I was probably about that age, and I'd heard a noise downstairs, and it was dark, and I had like a flashlight, and I came downstairs and the stairs were creaking, and there was a rocking chair rocking back and forth really slowly, and it spooked me, and there was something on it, and I shined my flashlight on it, and there was a blanket on it, and it was like this false recognition of whatever the noise was, but the noise kept happening, and it was in the kitchen, and when I got in there, it was my dog eating food. And it was the first story that, as far back as I can tell, that I wrote, and it was so full of tension for someone at that age that I was honored that it was my first. I'll have to find it and read it properly, but I remember that that's about what it was about. Number 10. What authors have inspired your writing the most? Is it cheesy now to say that J.K. Rowling was one of the starters? Because she was. I think that's really when I started reading a lot more. Like, I've always been a reader, but it started kind of clicking that I could tell stories like that too. So that was probably the start of it. Aldous Huxley, who wrote Brave New World and The Island, his writing touches me in my soul. Like, I feel everything that he talks about, and I love him as an author. Also, currently, V.E. Schwab, who I've already mentioned, of course, her writing is beautiful, and I feel inspired by her writing often. And I recently read Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, which has a big impact on how I'm writing too. Number 11. Do you schedule your writing time, or do you just write whenever you can find the time? The short answer is whenever you find the time, because life is crazy and everything is always, you know, I don't have a perfect schedule, so I basically write whenever I can find the time. But if I do have a full day where I can schedule it, I try to get a few hours of writing in the morning when I've got my coffee and I can settle in and the day is starting. And then I'm terrible in the afternoon, so that's when I get like my chores done. And then in the evening, if I have the opportunity, I'll close the blinds and like everything's getting dark, and turn on the lights and the candles and get some tea and stuff, and I'll get to writing in the evening when everything is closed off and you can just focus on the writing in the evening is phenomenal. That's probably when I do my best writing, is in the evening. Number 12. Do you type on a computer, typewriter, handwrite everything, or use kind of a blend of those things? And where do you write in general? So I write on a computer. I have my laptop in my home office. Sometimes I'll kind of move around the house. I'll like move my stations around. I don't know why I do that, but I do that. I don't have a typewriter. That's not a thing. As far as writing out things by hand, I know some people do that in notebooks. As far as I go, I might jot something down on a Post-it, or like, you know, when ideas come to you and you feel inspired, I'll write something down really quick. Maybe I'll make a note in my message apps on my phone, or even like I'll text myself sometimes, or even make a video on my phone of just the note that I need to think of, and then I gather everything up and I come back home and I put it all on the computer. So, number 13. What are you most looking forward to now that you're part of Authortube? I am definitely looking forward to the community. Writing is a lonely gig. I don't have a lot of writer friends that I can talk to about it, so I'm definitely looking for a place where everyone kind of talks to each other and lifts each other up and talks about writing, thinks about writing. So I'm definitely looking forward to the community. That's all I have for you today, guys. I post new videos every Thursday, and I will see you next time. See you later. Hi, oh, I got another toy. Thank you. Yeah, take Allie and go lay down, baby.